Welcome to the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority Invoice Training Series, presented by the Employer Reporting, Compliance, and Education Division. This video will provide information on the military billing invoice. The military billing invoice consists of time that an employee was away from their job duties due to active military service and decompression time. To comply with the federal USERRA laws, state laws were passed to guarantee employees no disruptions to their retirement account for the time they were actively deployed. The employee will have service and salary credited to their account for the period of active military service, at no cost to the member if they meet certain qualifications. The employer will be billed for the ER-CON for the credited salary. Decompression service is the time in between the end of active duty and the date the employee returns to employment with a participating agency. An employee may receive up to 90 days of service and salary for the decompression period, and the employer and employee are invoiced separately for their part of the bill. Following an honorable discharge from their active military service, the employee must return to employment within 2 years and submit a copy of their DD-214 paperwork to Kentucky Public Pensions Authority showing they meet the requirements per statute. Kentucky Public Pensions Authority will then contact the employer for rate of pay information for the period of deployment. The employer should provide the rate of pay information, including any raises or cost of living adjustments for the deployment period as if the employee had no break in service. This information determines the salary for the posting months within the active military period and decompression period, which is used not only in determining the cost of the invoice, but may also be used in determining the employee's retirement benefits. The military billing invoice can be accessed through the Invoice module of the Report tab in Employer Self-Service. There may be 2 invoices published for the same employee for what might appear to be the same time period. The active service is billed separately from the decompression service, and there could be an overlapping month that contains the end of the active duty and the beginning of the decompression service that might appear on both invoices. To view the invoice, click the invoice number hyperlink. The invoice will be a multi-page document containing the billing voucher and calculation page for a single employee of your agency. These invoices will never contain multiple employees. On the first page of the invoice, the Employer Information section provides the name, employer code, and address for the employer. The invoice details in the next section include the invoice number, due date for payment, the member identification, and the amount due. Following the details are instructions on how to pay the invoice, which an agency can do either electronically in Employer Self-Service or by mailing a check or money order. If the agency chooses to pay this invoice by check or money order, they need to include the voucher portion of this page along with their mailed payment. The second page of the invoice starts with the employer information and the invoice details that are identical to page 1. Following this information in the invoice details is the breakdown of the cost for the military service period. This information includes the dates that make up the active duty service or the decompression time, the months of service in that period, the salary calculated based on the rate of pay the agency provided, the employer contribution rate for the fiscal year, and the employer contribution amount owed for the period. Following that information is the total cost of the employer contribution for the entire period of active military or decompression time. A quick note, the dates provided as the period of service may not reflect the actual number of months that are credited, as some of these may already have retirement credit due to an overlap with months containing work time or an overlap between active military service and decompression time. Once the invoice is issued, the agency has 30 days from the date of creation to pay the invoice. The due date can be found under the invoice details on page 1. Thank you for viewing the Military Billing Invoice Training. If an agency has questions regarding any of their invoices, they may contact their ERCE team through the employer hotline.